You're listening to XVGM Radio. Welcome to XVGM Radio, where the bits keep coming. I'm Justin.
And I'm Mike.
And I'm Dr. Brain.
And this is episode 42, Sierra Games. And we have, as you heard, a special guest.
Yes, we have our good buddy, Brian Siecienski.
And I'm Dr. Brian.
Brian is a longtime pal of mine, going all the way back to grammar school?
Yeah.
Right? First grade, right?
We became friends later.
In high school,
We didn't get along at first.
We did not.
But then we became friends later, which there's a Power Rangers episode that was like, if you can make a friend out of, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I think the maddest I ever got at you was when we were in high school. This is a huge detour, but I'm going to include it anyways because it's a hilarious story. And it kind of sets the tone for what kind of person Brian is.
And the rest of this episode.
Well, so Brian and I were at lunch together, and without me realizing it, Brian put a kick me sign on my back.
Classic Brian.
And I did not know, and lunch ended. So I went to French class.
Was this a Kick Me sign, or was this a Kids Fest sticker?
No, it was definitely a kick me sign.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was like some Kids Fest sticker that I was working at a grocery store at the time, and they threw all these stickers, and I operated like a pyramid scheme where I would just hand out like 100 tickets, and
I remember that.
I'm giving you these stickers on the stipulation that you distribute them as well.
Right.
And they just were plastered everywhere. And
Yeah.
it got to the point
They were everywhere
where
in the
they
school.
had to make an announcement. They're like, look, we don't know who's doing this, but please stop with the stickers.
Please. They just...
And it was out of everyone's control at that point
Exasperated.
because I was just handing them out left and right because I knew what I was doing.
Right.
Because I didn't want to be the only one sticking them everywhere.
Yeah. So Brian puts this kick me sign on my back, and I go to French class. The worst part of it was there was a really good-looking girl that I had a super big crush on who was in my French class, and I got up in front of everybody because the teacher asked me to get up in front of everybody and answer one of the French things. So I'm writing it out, and I just hear all the kids start cracking up, and the teacher comes up, and I feel a snap on my back, and she hands it to me, and I look at it, and I say, Brian. and that is probably the angriest I've ever been at you. But you know what's really funny is right after that we became friends.
Yeah.
It was like a what's it called?
Kodak moment.
No, I was gonna say what's the thing where like if you get kidnapped and you
Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm. It was like yeah.
So I'm a kidnapper in this scenario.
No, friendship with Brian is like Stockholm syndrome.
And I couldn't figure out my house for Harry Potter for the longest time. I think it's Ariella said, "Oh, you're Slytherin," and I said, okay, this is making sense now.
Yeah,
this is coming together.
You're totally a Slytherin kid.
I was like, oh, any of them but Slytherin. And I was like, nah.
Yeah. No. So, anyways, we are here today with Brian, who is representing his podcast, Pixel Stories. We'll have Brian tell us a little bit about in
just a little bit.
We brought him on because he has experience with the topic at hand. We're doing a extravaganza on Sierra Games.
Extravaganza.
A microscope.
Adventure games. games.
Adventure games, specifically adventure games on the multiple different systems and all different things, but primarily adventure games from Sierra.
Right. The many names of Sierra Online, Entertainment.
Yeah, and
we'll get there in a sec.
We'll dive in deep.
Sierra Nevada.
So we'll tell you a little bit about that. The track that we came in on is from a game called Quest for Glory. So you want to be a hero, and it came out on the DOS and Mac in 1992, DOS system, or operating system, if you will. And that is a track called The Thief, and it's by Mark Seibert, Aubrey Hodges, and Spike Jonze, of all people. Now, is that Spike Jonze like the...
I doubt it.
I don't know, it could be. He has very few credits on Moby Games, so maybe?
That's a lot of people for this song, though. I mean, it's a very, there's not a lot going on.
I know. It's pretty simplistic.
Each one of them played an instrument.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. Like one person had the horn. Yeah.
One guy was just on that hi-hat.
Yeah. And I think there's like a triangle in there now, too.
Yeah, there's something like that.
So, real quick, we already basically covered Spike Jonze. This is the only game he's done, according to Moby Games. Aubrey Hodges did a bunch of stuff. We're just going to highlight a few. First off, Roberta Williams, who we'll be talking about in a bit, mixed up Mother Goose in 1991, did sound effects on that. Freddie Farkas, Frontier Pharmacist in 1993, which is probably the best name ever for a video game.
Wow, that's a lot of alliteration.
Right? And then Doom 64. Yeah,
wow.
He did the Doom 64 soundtrack.
That's a departure.
It's really good. It's all like ambient stuff.
Yeah.
And then the last one was Mark Seibert.
Yeah, we'll talk about him in a bit because he's actually on a number of these games.
Yes.
So we'll talk about him after one of the other games.
That's correct.
I'm gonna just actually throw this out there because I noticed it. Aubrey also did Army of Darkness Defense in 2011. I think it's a tower defense game, but
that's kind of
Army of Darkness,
Yeah. That's pretty sweet. So Sierra Games has a long history, and we're gonna dive deep into it, but we're only gonna cover up to a certain point. Pretty much up to like the 2000s. Yeah.
When adventure games died.
Yeah.
Temporarily.
Yeah. They've made a resurgence in the past few years.
Which is great.
Yes. Yeah. So, Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself and about Pixel Stories.
Okay, so we'll start with Pixel Stories.
Yeah.
I guess, we'll let the listeners get to know me through my dialogue.
Yeah.
So, Pixel Stories is our podcast. It's a podcast about video games. So, I don't know, maybe some of your listeners may be interested.
Yeah. I mean, most of our listeners are listening to video game music, so yeah.
So, we do video games based off of history, based off of novels. The theme is there is something in reality at the core that these games are based off of. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much it. So if you like video games and you want to know the story behind the video games, we've done Fallout, Skyrim. Oh, for your adventure game fans, we've done I Have No Mouth.
Oh, that's a good episode.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
I like that one.
Thank you.
You also, I think I've been on the show, and I did Castlevania, and then my wife and I were also on an episode where we talked about Phoenix Wright.
Yeah, because your wife's a lawyer.
You're right.
Because my wife is definitely a lawyer.
Definitely.
No, that's a running joke. My wife is not a lawyer, but Brian thought she was. So Brian was we'll get...
No, hang on. I didn't say she was a lawyer.
Okay.
She had some expertise in the legalese.
Legalese. She had some legalese going on.
She
That's
does
like
stuff
broccoli
with
in your
legal.
teeth. That's what that sounds like.
She does stuff like legal work, right?
Sort of. She
Whatever.
works in
Just
contracts.
have her on the show.
Okay, all right.
As opposed to the illegalese, the kind that people take it.
Yes.
All right.
So, Brian, his voice may sound familiar to some of you who carried over from Pixel Tunes Radio. Mm-hmm. He was on, I think, 3 episodes? What did we do? 3?
2. I was on episode 5 or 6.
We did Brian's picks.
It was 5.
Yeah.
And then it was episode 86 where I did adventure games.
Yes. And then, so that was a huge gap. And then we brought you on again. You and I actually... We interviewed John Baker, the composer for Toe Jam and Earl.
How could I forget about that?
Yes.
The biggest one. The biggest, most exciting one. And out of my mind.
You blew it.
You blew
it. Why don't we talk a little bit about the game, and then we'll move on to our next bit and play another track, and then we'll kind of, spread out the Sierra love throughout the episode.
Yeah, all right.
So this game, I know nothing about personally.
Quest for Glory, so you want to be
Quest for
hero?
Glory. I do know one thing. It is a remake of like another game.
Well, so it's part of the Quest for Glory series.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Quest for Glory, so you want to be hero, originally was known as Hero's
Hero's
Quest, so you
Quest.
want to be a hero.
Right.
And it's the first game in the Quest for Glory series.
Right. So this is basically a remake of that game. Yeah. So so the track, The Thief, pretty simple jazz track. This is like Brian's like bread and butter.
Yeah, this is Deja Vu.
Right.
This is, you know what the song reminds me of?
Nightshade.
Nightshade, yes.
Yeah.
If you've seen, if you're a fan of anime, and you've
Yes.
seen Hunter, or Hunter x Hunter,
Hunter x Hunter.
as some people call it, Leorio's theme from the 2011 is very similar to this.
Okay.
A little more going on with his theme, but you know that kind of jazz is
Right.
what I dig.
Smooth jazz, super chill, like a
No, that's not
noir.
smooth jazz. That's like you go into the detective's office and he's had it, and if he gets another
Is there, like-
spouse looking for their cheating partner,
Right.
he's just gonna smash his bottle of whiskey and hang it up.
Is there? He's gonna hang up the broken bottle of whiskey.
No,
like he
hang it up-
smashes
hang it
the
up.
bottle,
No,
then he
so
hangs it up.
He smashes the bottle of whiskey. He hangs up his detective hat and his detective trench coat, and he just moves and lives another life. It's
like-
something completely different.
I like that, but I like the idea of him smashing the bottle and then hanging the leftover
Yes.
remains of the
No,
bottle
that's much better.
on the hook.
That's much
Justin,
better.
what did you get yourself into in this episode?
No idea.
Oh boy. So yeah, that's pretty much the game. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
it's
Smash a bottle. That's the
smash
game.
and bottle. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so basically, it's kind of like King's Quest. Key differences are you can pick a class, and there's some fighting in it, which, you know, should have some combat.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
You're going to be having a sword and, you know, King's Quest. But I digress. Anyways, so you're playing this game, and you can pick your class, and you can pick different attributes.
Okay.
Too. So it's kind of cool. So there's different ways to play the game. Like I said, it plays like a King's Quest game. There's combat, and the combat is very similar to the Immortal
Okay.
for Nintendo and Genesis.
Right. It's like a
Like the isometric. It's not
point
an
of view.
isometric, so it's like a standard like point and click kind
Right.
of view. But when you go into combat, it becomes
Isometric.
very, very similar to that
Okay.
Immortal style combat. Immortal combat.
Oh my.
Okay.
So that song plays when you're breaking into somebody's house.
Nice.
That's Thief. It also plays at the Thief Guild.
Makes sense. Makes
Also.
sense. Okay.
Thief. Yeah.
Master Thief. All right.
Master Thief.
Cool.
This game is kind of considered kind of genre defining for the time that it came out and for what it was doing. It also has a relation because the game was originally called like Hero's Quest.
Doesn't have a relation to Hero's Quest like the tabletop game.
That's the thing. There was an issue because of that because it's
Oh.
not, the board game isn't Hero's Quest. It's
Hero Quest, right.
So there were trademark issues, and that's why I think the name got changed to Quest for Glory.
That makes sense. That makes sense. All right, so we are going to do this round robin style, starting off with Brian's first pick. What do you got for us?
Well, today, for my first pick, I've got Police Quest 2, The Vengeance.
Ooh.
This was released on the Amiga, Atari ST, DOS, PC-98 in the year of 1988. This is the intro music. This is the Roland MT32 version by Mark Seibert. Welcome back. That was Police Quest 2, The Vengeance. This was the intro music.
Yep, that came out on the Amiga, the Atari ST, DOS, PC-98, back in the year 1988. That was the intro music. That's the Roland MT32 version, specifically, that Brian picked. And that is by Mark Siebert.
A.K.A. Cybermark.
Cybermark.
Cybermark Siebert.
So why the I mean, I guess I shouldn't say why the Roland MT32 version, because it's like, wow, that was a great track. But what made you pick this over the original?
I just like this better. Just personal preference. That's all.
Okay.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things going on in it, just between sort of that almost a driving bass. I don't know if I would really call it a driving bass line, but it was kind of bumping.
Yeah, that's it. It's,
you know,
it's moving. We can say moving.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Shuffling? No.
That bass line really reminds me of Super Mario World when you're in Bowser's like area. That part.
Yeah. About Super Mario World.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the the high part reminds me of New Order.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I was really, that part specifically reminded me a lot of like what you'd hear in freestyle music, but you also kind of hear that a lot in synth pop and new wave and that type of 80s music.
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of that stuff from the 80s, a lot of the synth stuff.
For sure. So, Police Quest 2, The Vengeance, you play as a character named Sonny Bonds, who's a detective in a fictional town of Lytton, California.
It's the same character from the first game, actually.
Yep. It's got a pretty deep plot for the most part, from what I understand, but it's like a, an adventure game. Now, you've not played this one, Brian?
No, I've seen playthroughs of various Police Quest games. The music is so good, I want to like them.
Yeah.
I can't get into them.
Okay, so it's a soundtrack delivery system.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, yeah.
For sure.
And I think it's because there's no nostalgia for me. I never played them growing up, so I play it and I'm like, I'd rather play Phoenix Wright. I'd rather play, any number of other games.
It's funny you say that, like, you never played them, you don't have any nostalgia. I did play the original one. I grew up with Police Quest 1.
Oh, wow.
And I don't really have nostalgia for it.
Okay.
I mean, they were very difficult games. For the time that I had it, I didn't really understand exactly how to play it. There was a whole lot of trial and error, and there was a whole portion that I didn't really understand, that you had to really sort of read the manual for the game to understand what you were supposed to do. Because I just remember, like, the first game, you start off and you're this new cop, and
on the beat.
Yeah, basically.
APB.
Like, you start off at the police station, you have to go in, you have to do all these things, otherwise, like, you will almost immediately get a game over if you screw any of the stuff up. Like,
oh, wow.
You have to go in and you have to, like, change your uniform, get your gun. If you leave the station, I think, without your gun, it might not kill you right away. Something like that happens.
You step out of the office, and then they're just like,
Well, you take one step out of the office and your gun shoots you.
Yeah. Your gun comes out from the other room, and it's like,
Your gun comes out, it's like, what's this?
Yeah.
What's going on? What, are you going to leave without me? I don't think so.
Well, the frustrating thing that I always remember is when you get out, you get in your car and you go on patrol, you actually have to, like, walk around your car and stop at each tire. Like, you have to stop at a tire, stop at all 4 tires, and then get into your car to check your car and make sure it's safe. If you don't, you leave the parking lot, your car basically explodes.
Wow.
It's so stupid.
That's dumb.
Check your seatbelt, turn your blinker. That's the thing I didn't like about it. It's so boring and tedious and generic.
It's like literally being an actual police officer.
You fill out paperwork.
Yeah. By the time I actually figured out how to, like, get out of the police station and start playing the game, I then didn't know how to handle things. Like, you drive around town for a while, and then you get a call. You're like, oh, there's something going down over here.
Right.
And, like, I could never handle it. Like, I'd get there, and I'd either get killed by a bear, or I just keep
a
getting
bear?
hit. I think there's, like, something going on in a park, and I don't know how you're supposed to handle it,
seems
because
like
I just
animal
gave up.
control. I think
Should
that's
be.
a wrong call.
Maybe there was a robber, and he just shot. I don't know. I was a kid.
The bear robbed a bank.
For a second,
with his bare hands.
Yeah, with his bare hands.
Give me all your berries.
For a second, I thought you were saying that Animal Control. I thought, like, Animal Control was like a different version of the game. It's like Police Quest 2 Animal Control Edition. Yeah. So Police Quest 2, I guess there's a bigger focus on the driving sequences.
It's like Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Oh, that first Ghostbusters
or
game
you
on
know
the
what?
NES,
See,
like
you're
that.
talking about that. Full throttle.
Yeah.
I'd rather play full throttle, take the law in my own hands.
Right.
Drive around on a motorcycle.
It's
road
weird.
rash.
It's weird that this came out in, like, all these different systems. Like, I mean, MS-DOS makes sense, obviously. Amiga, What? Really? Okay. Atari ST? All right. I mean, it's a home computer, I guess.
I think the opposite. I think it's weird it came out on DOS and because it's an older looking game. You know?
It did come out in the PC 98. Yeah. And we can probably explain that a little bit if we talk briefly about Sierra Games. So they are a company that was originally formed as Online Systems back in 1979, and Sierra got their start thanks to a married couple named Ken and Roberta Williams. Ken was an IBM programmer, and Roberta was a fan of text adventure games on the Apple IIe. But Roberta grew frustrated with the lack of the graphics, so their Apple IIe was utilized to provide graphics to these types of games, ushering in a brand new landscape for adventure games.
So the company's name was changed to Sierra Online in 1982, and within about 2 years, they were considered the world's 12th largest at-home computer software company.
Yeah, and Roberta actually wrote the scripts for games while Ken provided the programming.
They survived the 1983 video game crash by developing games for one of Commodore's early machines and the TI-99/4A, but unfortunately both of those systems died out within the year.
Yeah, however, it was IBM who helped usher in a new age of gaming for Sierra when they asked them to make games for their computers. One of the first was like an IBM Junior, and the game that was created was King's Quest, which would become immensely successful and spawn several sequels. The 1980s also saw the development of successful game series such as Leisure Suit Larry and Quest for Glory, which we just briefly talked about. The adventures developed by Sierra ranged between more mature-themed or fantasy-based for the most part.
The 90s brought further growth for the company as they also worked on series like Dr. Brain, which was more educational but still contained gameplay elements that would be engaging.
Sierra branched out from computers and worked on consoles as well, and they licensed their games to consoles and developers and publishers. With the changing market, there was more of a push than ever before to focus on bringing new gaming experiences to console.
Sierra even signed a contract with Pioneer to publish their games in Japan under a new branch called Sierra Venture.
See, that's where we get into the whole thing with
Sierra
PC 98.
Adventure. So they really released stuff for the PC 98.
Yeah.
I had no idea. And so, Justin, you were saying before the early Commodore, like Commodore 64?
No, it's not Commodore 64. It was prior to that.
It was one of their really early machines.
Yeah.
And then the Texas Instruments, the TI-99/4A.
Okay. Because I had a Commodore 64 growing up, and it was like very black and white.
Yeah.
The Commodore 64, well, what's the difference between the later systems? Because I've seen the later systems referred to as the Commodore 64.
Well, the Commodore Amiga, because Commodore and Amiga are one and the same.
Yeah.
So
that would just be the difference.
It just became the Amiga for the most part. Yeah. Sierra is an American-based company. They were later based out of Bellevue, Washington, for one of their secondary homes when they moved.
However, a Stamford, Connecticut-based company called CompuCard International offered $1.5 billion to Ken for a buyout.
B with a billion with a B.
Billion.
Yes.
Ken became vice chairman of the new company after the sale, and he would continue to be in charge of research and development.
Yeah, but Ken began to grow disillusioned with the company because of the more conservative company trying to put restraints on games like Leisure Suit Larry and Phantasmagoria. So Ken believed that there was a place for mature titles in computer games.
Yep. In 1996, Ken worked with Valve to gain exclusive publishing rights to Half-Life.
Perfect example of a mature-rated game. Ken left the company in 1997, with Roberta also leaving after the release of King's Quest: Mask of Eternity in 1998.
Yep. And we're gonna basically stop there.
Yeah, because then it gets into the 2000s, and that's when the company split up into 3 different groups. And
it gets a little
tangled. Basically, what ended up happening was Vivendi got in control of them, which is Activision. And then at that point, they later on saw a resurgence, like fairly recently. And I think there was like a newer King's Quest game that came out.
Yeah, it's just King's Quest, and I think there's like a 5-part episodic game on the Xbox and PlayStation and stuff.
But our focus today is specifically on the older Sierra games.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pre-2K.
Pre-2K.
Very pre-2K.
Yes. So let's move into Justin's first pick. What do you got for us?
So I'm going to play something from Space Quest 3, The Pirates of Pestulon. This came out in the Amiga, the Atari ST, and DOS back in 1989. The track is called The Black Hole, and it was composed by Bob Siebenberg. Welcome back. That was Space Quest 3, The Pirates of Pestulon, which came out on the Amiga, the Atari ST, and the DOS in 1989.
The DOS.
The DOS.
Are you kids playing the DOS in there?
No, Mom.
Hold on.
What about the Nintendo? Are you playing the Nintendo in there?
Nintendo.
No, it's the
Are you playing the
Nintendo.
DOS on the Nintendo?
Are you guys playing the PlayStation? The PlayStation.
The place station?
Yeah.
Are you boys building an interocitor up there?
No.
No.
The track was The Black Hole, and the composer was Bob Siebenberg.
As Brian put it during the break, it sounded like the track got sucked up into a black hole.
yeah,
right at
love
the
it.
end.
Kinda just ended,
I was
yeah.
really hoping that would
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's a short track.
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah.
You know what my favorite part is?
The
when,
black hole.
No. Well, that's my second favorite part. The
Okay.
first part is when the bass drops and it becomes a Jim Powers song.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
And much like a Jim Powers song, when the bass drops is the best part.
Yeah. You can't go until the beat drops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drops are Soul Blazer too, a little bit, but more Jim Powers.
Okay. I feel you there.
Chris Hulselbeck
Yes.
type of feel to it once.
A little bit.
There.
I
He did Jim Powers,
He
right?
did, he did,
Okay, so
yeah.
that's my point, sir.
Good point. Good point.
Sir.
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 Excuse me, sir.
It got a little weird at one point. Like, it almost sounded like off-tempo.
Oh yeah.
It's
yeah.
almost as if, like, the bass was running away from the rest of the track.
Well,
Did you
that's
feel
the
that?
whole black hole thing. So, like, as you get closer to the black hole, things speed up,
like,
and then on
yeah.
the outside, so the closer you get to the black hole, the faster things are. I'm just making this up.
You-
Bass,
totally
the
are.
bass got sucked into the black hole.
Right.
Percussion was safe.
Yeah.
And then eventually the whole thing got sucked.
The bass got sucked.
The percussion was different though.
Right.
Which may be the cause of that. Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't notice what you noticed. I was just waiting for that song to get sucked into the black hole.
Right,
When it
right.
did, I was so happy.
Yeah, that's it, man. You just
Did the Pirates of Pestulon get sucked into the black hole? Is that the connection?
I don't know. I've not
I hope they
played the game,
Serves
so
them
this is the Space Quest 3 is obviously the third installment of the Space Quest series, of which I think there's 9 or 10.
This is ridiculous.
There's a lot.
And there's newer ones. There's newer ones too. There's like a Roger Wilco.
I just want to point out,
yeah.
there's a mini game, an arcade mini game in Space Quest 3.
Oh, yes.
Called Astro Chicken.
Yes, there
That's
is.
gotta be good.
I'm pretty sure that's in every Space Quest. There's some chicken-related joke, and I think there's an Astro Chicken in every game. There's a total of 6 games. The last one is Space Quest 6, Roger Wilco in The Spinal Frontier.
That's amazing. So I'm getting a very tongue-in-cheek, like, parody vibe
Yeah,
from
no.
these.
These games are silly. So I feel like the Police Quest games, maybe they got a little more tongue-in-cheek as they went on, but from what I remember, the first couple of games, they were very kind of serious,
Right.
and I ended up not finding them very fun. The King's Quest games, they definitely got really silly and tongue-in-cheek as they went on, but I think they started out more serious.
Yeah.
The thing about a lot of these games is they're very brutal. They're very unforgiving because while there isn't really anything along the lines of combat in the whatever quest, other than the Quest for Glory games, you're generally solving puzzles and whatnot. And there are sequences, and if you screw something up in the beginning of the game that you need for the end of the game, you're screwed. Like it's over. You'll either get a game over or you'll just be stuck, and it's very frustrating. And I think the Space Quest games got a little bit silly with that, and they didn't take themselves quite as seriously. It's more fun to die in the Space Quest games because you get some really silly and really just like off the wall deaths. Like they're space monsters that'll just like come out of nowhere and eat you, and it's like surprising and funny.
Nice.
It's like Dragon Quest.
Yeah.
Right.
It's pretty silly. So, I mean, in this one, your main character, Roger Wilco, his escape pod, which carries over from the last game, Space Quest 2, is just floating in space until it's picked up by a garbage freighter. There's a screenshot from the game, and there's totally a TIE fighter, a rocket ship, and it looks like a classic UFO, like saucer.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking at the two.
Yep,
that was on the Wikipedia page.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's an Acme rocket. It's like,
yeah.
what's his name? Wile E. Coyote.
Wile E. Coyote, yep.
So
Clearly that's the vibe that they're going for.
yeah,
Clearly.
it's pretty silly.
Yeah. There's like a Arnold type character in it called Arnold the Annihilator.
Yup.
Yeah. I'm annihilating you. Do it. Get down.
But yeah, you walk around, you solve puzzles, and
Get to the space quest.
you get to the quest,
rocket.
Get to the
and
quest.
then you gotta get down.
Quest to the quest.
quest.
Okay. All right. So that's the game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool track. Cool game. Now tell me a little bit about Bob Siebenberg?
Yep.
So he's friends with Cyber Mark, and there's Cyber Mark and Cyber Bob. Cyber Bob and Mark.
So Bob Siebenberg only has one video game credit to his name, and that is this game. However, he has other music credits to his name, as he is the drummer of the super band Supertramp.
That's right. Yep, they were an English rock band that was in the late 60s. They're like prog rock, but later on they did like, pop and, art rock and that sort of stuff. So yeah, pretty nifty that, an actual composer from, now I don't want to say real music, but like...
I was just going to say, watch what you say here.
Yeah.
From mainstream pop music?
Yeah.
From the lamestream music media?
Mainstream, more like lamestream. All right, so...
We only do deep tracks here.
Yeah.
Okay.
We only do derp tracks.
No, we know what happens when you ask me to do deep cuts. There's a reason it doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, no, I know your deep cuts.
Gross.
I can't imagine the ones that didn't make the cut.
Gross.
But
All right.
Okay, I'm off the show.
That's okay, because it looks like we're getting a call from our request hotline. Somebody's calling in to request a song.
Sweet.
So let's go ahead and take that call. Caller, you're on the air with XVGM Radio. Who's this, and what can we do for you?
Oh, hello. My name is Mananan, and
What, banana? Did you say banana?
No, Mananan.
Okay,
that's what we
banana.
said, banana.
Right, yeah.
No, not a bee. Mananan.
I
That's
just
what we're
said
saying.
banana.
But let's move this along,
All
sir.
right, come on, banana.
Can you,
I'm King's Quest V from Nintendo, the Nintendo, Harvey Island.
Okay, so Banana wants to hear Harvey
Hello?
Island from King's Quest V.
How does this work?
All right, Janine, cut that. All right, well, Banana wants to hear King's Quest V for the NES. This came out in 1992. This is Harpy Island, and it's by Ken Allen and Mark Siebert, who are both uncredited for this. All the hits.
all the bits.
XVGM Radio. Hey, you are back to XVGM Radio, and that was King's Quest V on the NES, of all places. That came out in 1992, and that was Harpy Island, and it was by Ken Allen and Mark Siebert, both of which who are uncredited composers. So, what do you guys think of that one?
Me and Justin, I'm speaking for both of us, 'cause we agreed on this while we were listening to it.
Right.
We do not think it sounds like the NES chipset.
No, we're going to have a Royal Rumble about this. No, I mean, aside from that, I like it. It feels very kind of like almost military, like a march, which is not what I would expect for a Harpy track. Like, I hear Harpy Island and I think like, Well, screeching and terrible bird noises, but also almost like a flying theme.
Okay.
Because harpies technically fly.
Yeah.
And then instead, I'm hearing something that's clearly more of a march, and unless they're flapping in time, which would be really weird and hard to keep you up in the air.
Well,
why would they?
They're marching on their wings.
They're marching on their wings.
I was gonna say that bass line, which is wacky.
Yeah.
Like, I've never heard the NES make this kind of sound. Like that. Like, that was like crunchy. It was almost like Commodore 64 sound. Like very crunchy, very bassy, very booming.
Yeah.
Very unique. What's crazy is that this was published by Konami. So I don't know if they used Konami sound drivers.
Clearly not.
I don't think so.
Those are not Konami sounds.
No, because usually Konami is a little bit less bassy. Most of their stuff is a little bit more like
Ninja Turtles.
yeah, pretty much. Like all their drums are like they're very like they have a more of a twinkly atmosphere, like that's Konami.
Like their logo sound. That
Right. Yeah. I've been listening to a ton of groove metal lately, so outside of game music, and
what?
I totally am vibing with this as like a groove metal breakdown. Dun 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 dun
Yeah.
dun 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 dun.
I can see that. Yeah.
Like really kind of militant, but also very grooving.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I dig the track, and I thought it was really cool. It was just
very melodic too with that.
When it was introduced, I was not expecting what we got.
Yeah.
Does it remind you guys of Rygar?
A little bit.
I don't have a whole lot of experience with Rygar.
It kind of does. I get what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I do. King's Quest V, why it came out on the NES, I don't know. I guess Sierra was looking to expand into consoles, as we were talking about earlier. This game did make its way to computers, of course, using VGA. It was actually the introduction of VGA into the series. VGA, of course, Video Graphics Array.
I gotta say, it drives me nuts when they port adventure games, especially point-and-click games, to consoles.
Yeah.
Because the controllers just do not have the same feel as the mouse.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
no,
It
not at
doesn't
all.
work. It's so tedious and but I get why. I think financially they're like, hey, more people have consoles. I mean, take a look at the cost of buying a computer, even today. Buying a decent computer versus buying a console is a fraction of the price.
Well, you'd be interested to know then that the Sega CD was also supposed to get a port of this game, but it was never released.
There were a lot of adventure games on the Sega CD.
There were, and that makes sense because I believe the Sega CD had a mouse. It was either the Sega CD or the Saturn. I can't remember which one. I have the mouse for one of them.
I never.
No, you're thinking of the SNES.
Mario.
No. Yeah.
This started off as like a floppy disk for the game, and then it became a CD-ROM, which was considered a fully voiced talkie CD-ROM.
Oh, so they added voice.
They added
voiceovers and
voice
stuff.
acting. Right. This game sold like a lot. Like it sold 500,000 copies, tons of awards, accolades and everything.
Like Quest of the Year.
Yeah, Quest of the Year. Quest of the Year. And it was later ported to the Atari ST as well. But the weird oddball is the NES version. So what's interesting about this version is that they had to, as you know, the King's Quest series is a little bit more, adult, if you will. There's nudity, there's rough language, there's some religious stuff, and there's quite a bit of violence. So they had to tone all of that down for the NES version. So, and I guess Konami, being the publisher that has experience with censoring games for Nintendo consoles, jumped on that and worked with them.
Interesting.
They're like, we can make this game lame in every way possible.
I completely forgot that these games are relatively adult, because there are other games that are part of the Sierra library that I definitely go to think of when you mention adult.
Yeah. Like for an example of the censorship, instead of a character named Cedric being murdered, instead he gets turned to stone.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Which one's worse though? Because if you're still conscious and you're turned to stone, I'd just murder me.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to be turned. Well, okay, if I'm turned to stone but I'm alive, I think that'd be worse. Yeah, that'd be terrible.
You can't do anything. You can't
You
move.
can't do
You gotta
anything. You
watch.
can't move.
as
You just
the
gotta
world goes by.
starve to
slowly
death.
go insane.
And that's what's always dumb is those people starved. Okay, well here's the thing: if you got turned to stone, would your body still be alive? Yeah, your body. So, but
You don't
would,
need to eat
So
or
it's not.
breathe.
So
Like,
it's not
you're-
like you're
like-
alive under the stone.
Right.
It's
No,
not
like
right.
your
You're just
consciousness
conscious,
will
yeah.
be trapped in the stone.
So would you be alive? Like, would you be all knowing that you were
No.
in a stone? Like, you'd be like, "Whoa, everything's dark. Where am I?" Or would
Well,
you?
you
Or
would-
would it be
Oh,
like?
yeah, like would
or-
you know you were in a stone? 'Cause
Right.
you perceive you're in a stone.
Right.
This is getting too cerebral. Let's just end it here. You turn to stone, you're just a rock. You're dead.
That's
you're
it.
dead. Your body.
And when
And
the-
that's the thing. Like, there are two options. Either you get turned to stone and you die, which is the same as being murdered.
Sure.
Or you get turned to stone and then you're just
Maybe you sleep.
conscious of what's going on around
Maybe
you.
you're unconscious. You just sleep.
That's what I was thinking. I was
That's
thinking.
gonna let me sleep at night.
You know-
Yeah.
You just a dream. A
Like,
stone
to sleep or
dream.
chance to dream.
Well, like,
yeah.
like Medusa, for example. Like, when Medusa turns you to stone, when she looks at you, like, are you a human man underneath all that stone? Like a stone. The stone is like a shell, like a candy shell.
No, you're stone.
Well, so then
If you
the
hit- if you
problem with
hit
that is
the
then you-
hammer, you're
Right,
just crumbled.
you're crumbled.
Yeah.
So
done.
that would mean that you would not know that you were turned to stone. So here's the thing: when you get unturned to stone, or you turn back to human form, are you awake and you come out of it and you're like, what happened? Or are you awake and you're like, oh my god, that was awful?
I gotta say, it's like when you go to sleep and there's just that nothingness.
Nothingness.
Because there's no brain.
So it's like you.
So there's no brain. So
Right.
there's no ability.
There's no
to
memory,
perceive that.
right?
There's
So you're just
nothing.
kind of waking up and you're like,
you're just kind of in limbo.
gotcha.
Yeah, but then are you dead or are you unconscious?
You're in limbo.
All right, I'm gonna throw another rock.
I
Dead.
suck at limbo.
Technically dead because you have a brain to have the unconscious part.
I'm gonna throw another rock in this shoe.
Oh my god.
What about gargoyles? So gargoyles,
transformation. That's
they
like-
turn
okay.
to stone.
I think.
So
that-
do
no,
they
wait,
do
wait,
they
I think
wake
that
up?
is stone skin because when they come out, don't they shed the stone and they're like?
Yeah, well that's how it was in the
stone?
Disney cartoon.
Okay, so there you go. It's the stone skin.
Yeah, right.
But what about gummy bears?
They're just all gummy. They're
No, but when they
stones.
break off the stone, all they hear is in their head, dun 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 dun. All right. Anyways, so yeah, the composer's not credited. We'll talk about Mark Siebert in a little bit.
We've been holding off on him for a bit.
We have, but we'll get to him. Ken Allen has been doing a lot of production with video games. He started off audio-wise with Colonel's Bequest in 1989, and then followed it up with Roberta Williams' King's Quest 1, so basically the first King's Quest game, and then moved over to Oil's Well in 1990, and then followed it up with King's Quest 5, Firehawk, Space Quest 4, Space Quest 1, Roger Wilco in the Sarian Encounter. Basically, in-house Sierra composer doing all sorts of crazy Sierra stuff. His final game credited was King's Quest Quest for the Crown in 2001. Nice. He's credited for original music for that. So let's go back to Brian. What is your next pick?
My next pick is a personal favorite, Gabriel Knight, Sins of the Fathers. This came out on DOS, Windows, Mac in the year of 1993. The track name is, it's a doozy, Lake Pontchartrain.
Pontchartrain.
Pontchartrain. You gotta say it in a Cajun accent.
You gotta say it in the Cajun accent, right?
And it's also known as the crime scene, I think, or the well, it takes place at the crime scene. The crime occurred at Lake
Pontchartrain.
Got it. All right. And there's a whole host of composers. We'll talk about them after the break.
We are back. That was from Gabriel Knight, Sins of Our Fathers, Lake Pontchartrain.
The DOS, Windows, and Mac release game in 1993. Composers are...
It wasn't me this time.
It wasn't you. You didn't start. You didn't start the fire.
No.
So Christopher Brayman, Neil Grandstaff, Stuart M. Rosen, Kelly Spurgeon, Richard Spurgeon, and J.D. Usher. What do you guys think of this one?
I like it. I'm sad that it was as short a loop as it was because I wanted it to keep going on. I mean, we could loop it and it can go on forever, but
Sure.
it's a really nice jazzy noir-ish track. Oh, don't go there.
They were like, listen, we need a track, okay? It's a crime scene in New Orleans, and they said, say no more. And then because it's got kind of like the Law and Order, it's definitely got that feel, but it's also it got that New Orleans kind of.
I think what happened was they were like, have you heard Tetris on the CDI?
Yeah.
And the guy was like, no, I don't think that exists because
Yeah,
it's
no.
1993. And they were like, all right, I got you.
But yeah, that's the comparison I made.
Weather
where-
Channel vibe.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love this type of music. It's so chill.
Very relaxing.
Very
This is
chill.
something that listen to by the fire.
Yeah, this you have to sit on one of those the windows that have a giant windowsill that you could actually sit on. That's got a little couch or whatever, like a little nook.
You mean like
You need a
the bay
nook.
window?
Yeah,
Yeah.
You need a nook to listen to the song, and you need some hot apple cider, and you need to look out the window, and it needs to be just nothing but grass, for miles, and you need to contemplate your life.
Or like a tangerine dream.
Right. Yeah. Ooh. Yes.
That's rethinking your life.
80s Tangerine Dream. Not
Tom Cruise
not
on the subway,
right.
rethinking his life.
Yep.
Yeah.
All that they need in this track is a a Tangerine Dream. Yeah.
It's a great game.
Yeah.
I loved it. Tim Curry voiced Gabriel Knight.
That's awesome.
Yes, you did.
And
That's so cool.
It's like they went to Tim Curry and it's Gambit from the X-Men. And he goes, I got this.
Say no more. Say no more,
more.
Sherry.
His portrait, when you're talking to people, looks like a young, vibrant, ravishing Conan O'Brien.
Okay.
So look it up. If
Oh,
you
like
haven't seen it.
Conan O'Brien with the flappy hair,
with
the feathery flappy hair.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And this game was fantastic. I liked how there were events in the game, but you didn't have to worry about messing up a trigger. It was day 1 and then day 2, and you'd wake up and things would happen, and one day you'd wake up and there'd be this voodoo murder. There's a dead chicken and a chalk circle and stuff in your bookshop, right outside of your bedroom, and it's whoa. But it's fun too. He impersonates a detective, a priest. He's not a police officer, and he's a true crime author.
Okay.
And so he can just take the law in his own. He just does whatever he wants.
I
that.
go
But-
where
so
I wanna
back to
go.
Police Quest. This is what Police Quest should have been, a character,
Right.
some content to it.
Something else that I want to point out, you mentioned Tim Curry as Gabriel
Yes.
Knight. This game actually had kind of an all-star voice cast, because we got Tim Curry as Gabriel Knight, we have Mark Hamill as Detective Mosley.
Oh snap.
Yeah, we have Michael Dorn as Dr. John, Jim Cummings as Desk Sergeant Frick.
What?
Right?
Yo.
There's a bunch of other people. They've got a really good cast. Those are the 4 that I immediately recognized.
Yeah.
The other ones I had to look up, and I know them from other things. But
Oh man.
Jim Cummings. I mean, you've got Tigger, Winnie the Pooh,
Right.
everything
All-
Disney.
All you pretty much need right there is Tress McNeil from Animaniacs. She voiced Dot.
Yep.
And of course Babs Bunny on Tiny Toons. And then you would need what's his name, Rob Paulson,
Yes.
who did Raphael
Paulson
and
and,
Turtles and
Oh,
Cam Clark.
Who did Batman for the animated
Kevin
series?
Conroy.
Kevin
Kevin
Conroy.
Conroy,
You would need
yes,
Kevin
yeah.
Conroy. Pretty much all the 80s,
He could
90s.
put him in the police station,
Yeah. Maurice LaMarche. Yeah.
You'd have Batman and Joker in the police station.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. That's really cool, though. I
Yeah.
need to check this game out.
Me too. This
Because
sounds really cool.
If I get to hear those voices in a video game,
Yeah.
I'm game.
And there's so much dialogue.
Yeah.
See, the thing about Sierra games, I prefer the LucasArts games because it's more the MacGyver type puzzles.
the Scum games.
Yeah, the Scum
Yeah.
games. And the Sierra games are good, but it's you got to be ready to sit down and experience a story and talk. talk, especially in Gabriel Knight. A lot of it is dialogue.
So we have a lot of composers to go through, but my suggestion is that we hold off and we jump to our next track, because these composers may possibly be showing up at a later time.
Well, I mean,
maybe.
now we know they are, so
Maybe.
you just ruined the surprise. So, coming up next, a moment ago I mentioned something about the mature games and what I think of when I hear mature games from this era.
Right.
This is what I think of. Leisure Suit Larry 5. Passionate Patty does a little undercover work. This came out in DOS and Mac in 1991. This is track 25, and by someone we've already heard from, Mark Seibert. Welcome back. That was Leisure Suit Larry number 5. Passionate Patty does a little undercover work. It came out on DOS and Mac systems in 1991. The track was track 25, and that was composed by Mark Seibert.
Does this take place at a mall? It feels like it takes place at a mall.
Yeah, I get mall
like
vibe.
an 80s, 90s mall.
That synth guitar, though, kind of reminds me of like an almost Capcom 16-bit guitar.
Yeah, a little
You
bit.
know? I mean, like, if there was a little less twang and a little more, like, rock sound, I think it would totally be straight-up Capcom.
For a little less twang, a little more twomp, it could be a Genesis guitar.
True.
But no, I feel like the bass feels fairly realistic. It's got a nice slap bass sound to it, which is weird because a lot of the music from the Leisure Suit Larry games sound like they're pulled straight out of the 70s.
Yeah.
That's like he's basically pulled straight out of the 70s.
That's true. He's kind of like a product of the past.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think that's the entire point of these games.
Yeah.
But the like this track didn't feel like a 70s track. Like it didn't feel like, Creeper Leisure Suit Larry doing stuff. It sounded more like Brian said, kind of like almost like something you'd hear at the mall or something.
Like I'm at the mall, don't mind me, fly on the wall here.
I get a weird vibe that if you were playing a Leisure Suit Larry game in like 2019, it would be like every time Larry is on the screen, it would just be like weird, like bad music, like intentionally bad, because like he's not supposed to be a likable character, right?
I mean, not
Like
particularly.
He's kind of a scumbag.
Yeah,
isn't he?
like he's a creep.
Yeah.
These entire games. So, as I said before we listened to the track, this is some of the more mature stuff that Sierra put out. The entire point of these games is that you are Larry, and you're just trying to get laid. Like you're meeting all these different women, and you're basically just trying to get them in bed.
Right. So that's the point. But like he'll do anything, right? It's like he's kind of desperate. Like it's like he has never sat in a bed and talked to a woman all night. Remember, this is a PG show.
Right.
Justin.
Yeah.
So Leisure Suit Larry is basically this dude who goes from woman to woman trying to find out what their sign is and all that good stuff. And
She's just trying to give out his email address.
Have a good conversation.
Right. And that's pretty much the game. Like, there's not really any... Is it like, do you win if you score with these ladies?
There is a story to the game, so
Okay.
it's not just like you're trying to find someone to score with.
Right.
It just happens that you're constantly trying to do that throughout
Right.
the plot of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I believe these are kind of almost like detective-ish type games,
Okay.
because Patty is Larry's partner.
Okay. Like partner in crime or partner
in
love?
solving crime.
Oh, okay.
So
Wait, so he's a detective?
this game is a little bit interesting because Leisure Suit Larry 5 comes after Leisure Suit Larry 3, and there was no Leisure Suit Larry 4.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Seriously? Wow.
And the absence of a Leisure Suit Larry 4 forms the basis for this game, as a character named Julius Biggs has stolen the quote-unquote missing floppies of the game and caused Larry to become an amnesiac.
Okay.
So now he's in the adult film industry working for a mafia-connected company known as Porn Prod Corp.
Okay.
And the guy that he's working for sends him all over the U.S. to scout models to appear in the show that they're making called America's Sexiest Home Videos.
Okay.
And meanwhile, on the other side, Patty is recruited by the FBI to dig up some dirt on 2 record companies.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's...
It's pretty wild. I am not super familiar with these games other than what I've seen.
Sure. I am only familiar with the one that came out on like Xbox and PS2. Yeah, and I believe in that one you play as Larry's son.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it takes place in the future. So I guess now's a good time to talk about Mark Siebert.
I guess.
I guess.
Oh,
So-
Cybermark.
Cybermark, yeah,
right.
Mark Seibert.
Yeah.
So
Lay it on me.
Cybermark started in 1988 with Police Quest 2: The Vengeance.
Yes. A track
And then
that
went
we
on.
just played.
Yeah, and then went on to do a lot of the stuff that we've already mentioned and some of the stuff that we're going to mention.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go with Codename Iceman in 1989. He was a composer on EcoQuest: The Search for Cetus in 1991. He did music. Take a Break Pinball in 1993. He did music on that, and
He did a port of Sylpheed,
He did.
which is pretty
All
dope.
the way back in 1989.
Yeah, one of the ports of it.
More recently, he has done the Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth in 2006 as an audio director, and finally Homeworld Remastered Collection in 2015. He's listed as an audio engineer.
Okay, so still in the business today. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Awesome. All right, so that's Mark, and that's Larry, and that's Patty,
And that's a call.
and that's a call. We're getting a call in. Let's go ahead and take that call.
XVGM Radio, you are on the air. Who is this, and what can we do for you?
Hello, this is Dr. Thaddeus P. Brain.
Wait, the
Dr. Brain from
Dr. Brain?
from the Dr. Brain game?
Yes, and I'm calling your silly show to request a track.
Well,
I'm honored.
Yeah.
What track do you want to
This
hear?
is the title track for The Lost Mind of Dr. Brain.
Wow. Well,
I think we can do that.
yeah, absolutely. That falls
I'm an
within.
egomaniac. I want to hear my theme song.
Okay. All right, Dr. Brain, let's cut the line, Janine. Man, what is up with these callers today? They're just wanna
aggressive.
go on and on and on. Oof. All right, so let's hear The Lost Mind of Dr. Brain. This came out on the PC and the Mac in 1995. This track is the title theme, and it's by Jonathan Cunningham and Mark Cross.
I am Dr. Thaddeus P. Brain III. The P stands for puzzles. I am the Puzzle Master. All is ready for the master experiment. Nothing can go wrong. Nothing. Nothing.
You have entered another dimension. Another dimension.
I play pretty good, Listen, Lichten.
What? I gotta do everything.
Nothing.
Whatever. You figure it out.
Listen to me. Uncle. Listen to me.
Comrade Bone, my furry cheese-eating friend. It's time to solve the ultimate brain puzzle.
Please collect my crayons. Rathbot. All aboard?
Aye.
I can still stop him.
Howdy. Yep.
Comrade Bone, my furry cheese-eating friend. Cheese! I hate cheese! Excuse me. Nothing.
You have entered another dimension.
Hey, you're back, and that craziness you just heard was from Lost Mine of Dr. Brain. They came out on the PC and the Mac in 1995. That was the title theme by Jonathan Cunningham and Mark Krause.
Wow. For a moment there, I thought Janine failed to cut him off, and he just kept coming back in the middle of the song.
Right.
And then I realized, no, the reason he wanted to hear that is so that he could hear himself talking.
Babble on
What even was that? That
Okay.
was, so it was fun. The music in there was fun, but
Yeah.
I did not expect all those sound effects and the talking and the robot.
So, a few things. First, what you heard is the exact title music that would play when the game is starting up, like when you're playing it. So that's why it's the title theme. Basically, it's taking you through this roller coaster ride of the entire game's experience. So you're moving from place to place inside of the game. So
That makes a lot more sense.
way more
now.
sense.
Yeah.
Right. It's a medley.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to see the visuals that go with this because it's a chill song,
Yeah.
and then the sound effect, it just makes it like a fever dream. And then the contrast makes it even more of a fever dream.
Right.
So now my brain hurts, and I want to see the visual to go along
Dude,
with this.
I love this game. This is the very first computer game I ever played. Actually, that's slightly not true because I did play like Oregon Trail in school and everything. But like for like sitting at home enjoying a video game, the very first computer I ever had was an IBM Aptiva, and it came with a bunch of games like MechWarrior 2 and this game and a bunch of other like learning games and educational games and stuff like that.
The Incredible Machine?
I don't think so. But it did come with this game with Lost Mine of Dr. Brain. And I remember playing this and just having so much fun with it. It's an educational game, but at the same time, it's also a very intensive game where like there's different levels that you can go to in terms of difficulty. So you could start off, do the less difficult stuff, and then you can move up and do the more difficult things. So to give you an example of what the gameplay is like, I kind of got to fill you in on the story. So this is the third Dr. Brain game, and you're playing as this character, Dr. Brain, who ends up doing this experiment that ends up merging his mind with Rathbone, who ends up turning into a giant mouse version or rat version of Dr. Brain. So basically, the screen of the game is Dr. Brain, who's kind of like sitting there in the chair, and then you've got his niece, who is like the scientist helper, who's basically like your guide to like show you what to do. Like, okay, if you go here, you can do this. If you go there, you can do this. And then on the screen, you've got the brain. Like, and the brain is broken down into different sections.
Oh, yeah,
And
like
you
the
can-
different parts of the brain.
Right, and those are the levels of the game. So you click on whatever one. There's a music one where the mouse, who is now on the right side of the screen, and he's like in a tube, like a test tube type thing. And he's giant. He's like a giant, mouse. It's like, maybe like 3 feet or whatever. And so you are taking Rathbone through all these different levels where he takes on different roles. So you heard all those roles in this title song, or some of them at least. So there was the construction worker guy. Don't remember the construction level, but I do remember the music level like intensely, because you had to switch the notes around so that when they played the whole song, you had to match the parts of the song, and because they were all jumbled up, so you had to by ear be like, okay, this note goes here, that note goes there, and you had to move everything around. It was really, really cool, especially for like a music nut like me.
Yeah.
Like, because I was in concert band at the time, if I recall. So like I was reading sheet music back then. So like I would look at it and be like, oh, okay, I know where this goes, I know where that goes. It was really cool. It kind of helped me like develop my musical skills by reading music. So it's full of variety, but it's all like little tiny mini games inside one giant game, and the whole point of the game is to conquer each part of the brain, so that way you can fix Dr. Brain.
Yeah.
So it's a really, really awesome game. It's so much fun. I really wish I could go back and play it now, but from what I understand, it's never been re-released, and it's like really difficult to play. So Jonathan Cunningham did a few different games. He started off as the audio engineer for this game, and then Hoyle Solitaire and Hoyle Bridge. He was the composer and audio engineer on the first, and the second he was sound design, and then he was the bass guitarist on Shivers 2 Harvester of Souls, Harvest of Souls in '97. Mark Krause only had 2 games, Early Math and The Lost Mind of Dr. Brain. He was audio engineer on both of those. So that's it, short and sweet. So let's move into Brian's last pick. Brian, what do you got for us?
So we have Roberta Williams' Phantasmagoria. This was released on DOS, Saturn, Mac, and Windows in 1995. This is Chapter 6 by Mark Siebert and J.D. Usher.
Have you played all the Sierra adventure games to your heart's content and you still haven't got enough? You want more? You got it! Quest 5, the quest for more quests at the Colonel's bequest.
Go back in time to an era where point-and-click adventures and dying for one stupid mistake were the industry standard. You play as Graham Rogers on a quest to uncover all quests in the universe at the bequest of Colonel McQuest. Feel the fire and fury of deciding which quest is more quest-worthy. Spend hours questing for more quests. When are you at your best? When you're on a quest. So go to your local game store and request Quest 5, the quest for more quests at the Colonel's bequest.
Request this game at any participating Boys R Bust, Zest Buy, or Blumco land. Please note, game is not available in Utah or the Sierra Nevada mountain range. Void where prohibited.
Well, that was Chapter 6 by the Reginald Experience.
No, it wasn't.
No, it was not. It was Phantasmagoria.
Roberta Williams, Phantasmagoria.
Came out on the DOS, Saturn, Mac, Windows in 1995.
That's right. And that was by Mark Siebert and J.D. Usher. So this song reminds me of little kids playing on keyboards, especially that end. The end part. Like, the beginning at first is kind of creepy.
Like the instrumentation, like my favorite part is the first part, like the harpsichord, and then it goes into like the music box.
Yeah, that's really good.
Like that's
all
what
good
makes
stuff
the song for me. So it's interesting because if you listen to all the songs, like as the game progresses. So this game, by the way, much like the music, it goes from 0 to 60.
Okay.
Where like you're getting into this game, and literally like the first 75% of the game, you're like, oh, this is nothing. This is cheesy 90s thing. This is awesome, but it's not scary. And then wham, and you're just like, oh. What? Like, it lulls you into such a false sense of security.
Really?
I was like, wow, okay, that's awesome. But, so the song you hear, that's the kind of song you hear when you're exploring the mansion.
That makes sense.
And so that song evolves over time. So it starts out really light and just like the doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo. And then the next day it gets a little darker. And then the next day it gets a little darker. And so on, and then the brrr comes in. You know, it reminds me of Clock Tower. A little bit.
Okay, yeah, I can get that vibe. But yeah, towards the end of the track, it's random little bits which sound like some little kid just playing on a keyboard.
There's, I mean,
you know what I mean?
See,
it gets really simplistic.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's that
right.
the curse of adventure game music.
Yeah.
As it just gets too ambient because when you're playing the game, it's very different. But it does pull you into that where there's silence for a little bit and then it's like the tick, 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 tick.
Yeah.
Like it'll creep you out.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm sure in game it's not bad, but like listening to it separate from the game, it just sounds like a kid found a keyboard and it's just like banging on a keyboard randomly. Like, I'm gonna press this one.
What's the sound effect?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like the weird little bits of silence because. So when it first happened, I was like, "Wow, that's a really short song."
Yeah,
and then,
me too.
And then before I could finish the thought, it was like, "Haha, we're not done yet."
Right.
And it did like 2 or 3 times, and each time I kept falling for it.
Yeah.
And then when the song actually ended, I'm just sitting here like, "All right,
waiting for it."
Oh, it's actually over.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
wait, are we sure? No, it's over. Okay.
Yeah.
And you know, the other thing is a horror game is supposed to unnerve you a little bit.
Yeah.
But this was cool. It wasn't like Sega CD full motion video, but the actors were full motion. But
Okay.
everything was filmed with green screen, and the background was like pixel art.
Oh, neat. I've heard of this game, but I've never played it.
Don't play it.
Don't play it.
No, I'm serious. Watch the walkthrough.
Okay. That's the thing about these
even
games.
on like the speed run is like 4 hours.
Wow,
Like,
really?
It's like watching a movie.
Okay.
But
That's
yeah,
cool.
if you're feeling like nostalgic or something and you want to experience the 90s again.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So these composers, well, we just talked about Mark Siebert.
J.D. Usher started his career in 1993 on Gabriel Knight, Sins of the Fathers, doing music and sound programming. In 1994, he did King's Quest VII. Again, he was credited on King's Quest, the Collector's Edition for the King's Quest VII, and as well Outpost. In 1995, there was this game, Phantasmagoria, and The Beast Within, a Gabriel Knight mystery.
Ooh,
Yeah.
mystery.
There were multiple games in that series.
Okay.
1996 did The Lighthouse, The Dark Being as a senior sound consultant. And then in 1997, King's Quest Collection Series, again, likely because of King's Quest 7. And then again in 2006 for the King's Quest Collection. Again.
Cool. Speaking of Gabriel Knight...
So, my last pick of this here episode, we are going back to the game that Brian mentioned earlier. This is Gabriel Knight, Sins of the Father, Dawson Windows in 1993. This track is Crash Interrogation, and the composers on this, Christopher Brayman, Neil Grandstaff, Stuart M. Rosen, Kelly Spurgeon, Richard Spurgeon, and this guy I just talked about, J.D. Usher. Welcome back to XVGM Radio. That was Gabriel Knight, Sins of the Father, 1993 release on Dawson Windows. The track was Crash Interrogation and composed by Christopher Brayman, Neil Grandstaff, Stuart M. Rosen, Kelly Spurgeon, Richard Spurgeon, and J.D. Usher.
That's an interesting little track. I gotta say, I don't know how I feel about this one.
I think it'd almost be like a Phoenix Wright.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of that feel to it.
I think that lead synth that kind of comes in. Like, I was digging the groove.
The little plucky thing, or...
Do-do-do-do-do-do. I was liking that, but then that plucky harp just kind of is very unnerving. It's a
You're being interrogated. You're not supposed to be comfortable.
Yeah, it's like...
Are you being interrogated, or are you doing
No,
the
so
interrogation?
Detective Mosley is doing the interrogation.
Okay.
He's allowing you to be in the room while this is happening.
Okay.
And they're trying to get information from this guy about the voodoo murders. He's just scared out of his mind.
Okay.
Like, you know how they're like, put me back in the cell. Like,
Right.
he's like, even in the cell, you can't protect me. This, you know, he is like very scared.
Wow.
There's some
Yeah.
supernatural stuff going on.
Well, that makes a little bit more sense now that I hear that, because that's the feeling that I got. Was it was very unnerving and it was very skittish. You've got this lead synth that's just like it's almost like very jittery. You know,
Yeah,
like normally in a song like like exactly like you were saying, like with Phoenix Wright.
Yeah.
Like if this was in Phoenix Wright, it'd be like do 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 do, and then that lead synth would come in and be like dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Right. It'd be way more staccato. And this, it sounds just really kind of jittery and unnerving, and then it almost like the time signature throws me off a little bit because it's like skipping. That is what happens during the song. We already talked about Gabriel Knight earlier for this game. Talked about some of the voice actors playing the game and everything. But
we did not talk about the composer.
The composers. We waited.
We did.
We teased.
We teased. And
did.
now we get to the resolution.
Yes.
So I'll start off here with Christopher Brayman.
Cool.
They started doing music on Police Quest 2, The Vengeance, in 1989, and did a whole ton of Sierra games through the 90s. We'll go off with King's Quest 6, Air Today, Gone Tomorrow in 1992. Leisure Suit Larry 6, Shape Up or Slip Out in 1993. Then they moved over to, looks like Freelance and or Tecmo, because I see Tecmo Super Baseball in 1994. Moving around, did a number of wrestling games, WWF WrestleMania 95, WCW Mayhem in 1999, WCW Backstage Assault in 2000, and then we'll just shoot up the list. Gretzky NHL in 2005, it was a sound engineer, and most recently did music on Quest for Glory 2 Trial by Fire in 2008.
Oh, cool. So we came back.
Yeah.
So Neil Grandstaff did The Dagger of Amon-Ra in 1992. He's credited as Sam Augustini. He's also started off with music and sound effects on Slater and Charlie Go Camping in 93. He did Quest for Glory, Shadows of Darkness in 93. Later that year, he's credited for sound. Also on Leisure Suit Larry 6, Shape Up or Slip Out. He did King's Quest 7, and then followed up with Outpost in 1994. Space Quest 6, Roger Wilco in the Spinal Frontier, which we talked about earlier. Then he did this Phantasmagoria track that we just heard. He did additional music on that. 3D Ultra Pinball in 95. He did voice processing, and pretty much his final thing was 3D Ultra Pinball Power in 1999, where again he's credited for voice processing.
Nice. Stuart M. Rosen, also known as Stu Rosen, started out doing acting and voiceover in Quest for Glory, Shadows of Darkness in 93. Then also did King's Quest 6, Air Today, Gone Tomorrow in 93, doing voice directing, started doing music on this Gabriel Knight game, went back to doing voice acting in 1995 for Shannara, and then is also credited for Gabriel Knight Sins of the Father, the 20th Anniversary Edition that came out in 2014. He's credited under the brilliant original GK1 voice cast.
Okay then.
Yeah.
Kelly Spurgeon started off as a voice actor for The Dagger of Amon-Ra in 92 as Dr. Olympia Miklos, and then followed it up with Gabriel Knight, Sins of the Fathers in 93, and again, music and sound programming. Later on, they worked on games like Space Quest, Outpost, Roberta Williams' King Quest 7, Space Quest 6, King's Quest the Collector's Edition. They mainly do like audio engineer work for the most part.
Well, Richard Spurgeon started out doing lip syncing on EcoQuest The Search for Cetus in 1991, and then did additional music in King's Quest 6 in 92, did some audio engineering and audio technician stuff in 93 on Pepper's Adventure, Lost Secret of the Rainforest, The Dagger of Amon-Ra. Looks like a lot of the stuff here is audio engineering. They did music and sound programming, obviously, on this Gabriel Knight track or game. And everything else here is sound or audio, coming all the way up to King's Quest Collection in 2006 as an audio engineer.
Right. And J.D. Usher we already talked about, so we're good.
Yeah.
So we can move on to Police Quest 3, which is my final pick. Police Quest 3 The Kindred is the name of the game. Amiga and DOS in 1992. And this is main theme, and it's by, oh my goodness, Jan Hammer.
The Jan Hammer.
Awesome. Can't wait. Hey, you are back, and that was Police Quest 3 The Kindred. Ooh. That came out on the Amiga and the DOS in 1992. That was main theme by Jan Hammer. Jan Hammer, of course, was the composer of the Miami Vice theme and the Crockett's theme as well from Miami Vice. He played keyboards in Mahavishnu Orchestra. He is awesome. He has some really great solo albums as well. I happen to have one of his albums. And it's just really awesome, like jazz fusion.
Is it Jan Hammer's Hits?
No. What do you guys think of this one?
I liked it a lot. I liked the shattering glass sound that was in there.
That was really subtle but really nice.
It was. To me, it felt a lot like the Beverly Hills Cop theme a little bit, and it kind of drew me into it even more instead of taking me out of it.
I thought that it was really, really good, but my favorite part is that it had the galloping bass that sounded like it came from a techno song, and it really reminded me of LaBouche.
Yep.
Sweet Dreams, like sweet dreams of rhythm and dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, Brian?
I'm listening to this song, and I hear the glass break.
Yeah.
And I go, okay, you got my attention.
Are you waiting for the whoo, like Michael Jackson style?
The entire Dangerous album. So the glass breaks, I'm like, okay, you caught my attention. And then the synth hit came in, or the orchestra hit came in, I go, okay, sold. And it only got better from there. I like how it built up.
Yeah.
And you have the different parts coming in, and it's getting more and more intense. I like songs like the fast-paced, moving...
LaBouche. Sweet dreams of rhythm and dancing, my
Sweet
friend.
dreams are made of cheese, all right?
That's true. So, Police Quest 3, it uses a point-and-click interface, like all the other adventure games. So, you do play as Sonny Bonds back in Lighton, and now he's a sergeant. So, yeah.
Good job.
Do you have to check your tires in this one?
I don't know, but there is a manual driving minigame. So, they're really knocking out the park. I don't know. Apparently, a lot of people want to be cops. Because people keep playing these games.
To be fair, they eventually led to the SWAT games, which are actually pretty good.
Right, Police Quest SWAT. So, Jan Hammer we talked about. Yeah, go check out Jan Hammer because he's really awesome. Does amazing keyboard stuff. But the fact that this game is the last that we're kind of going out on is not good enough. So we're actually going to end the episode with, I love that song, don't get me wrong, but we wanted to kind of return it back to the original song. So what we're actually going to do is play an arranged version of Quest for Glory, So You Want to Be a Hero, the Thief song. One of the reasons is because Brian picked this track, and then I found out later on, oh, whoops, this is an arranged version of that track. It's really way better. It's got like actual live saxophones and everything. It's really good stuff. So we're going to close the episode out with that. But before we do, Brian, thank you so much for being on the show. We had a blast talking to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to ruin your show again.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure to be ruined.
Yes, exactly. So where can we find you on the web?
Pixelstories.net. And then, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just search for Pixel Stories and you'll pop up. Brian Science on Instagram.
Okay, there you go. Perfect. So it's time to pick our favorite tracks of the episode, and as always, we let the guests go first. So Brian, what is your pick? By the way, I did want to add, you are our first in radio station house guest.
I've had plenty of guests, but you were the first one to come here.
Yeah, you were the first
sit
one.
down
Yes.
and break Taco Bell with us.
That's right. Right. Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's awesome.
Pat yourself on the back for that one.
I would.
So, what's your favorite?
Yeah, I gotta go with Lake Pontchartrain.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, it's that Tetris CDI,
All right, I feel you.
Yeah.
Justin?
I think the one that we just heard, the main theme from Police Quest 3, I think it's the one that I enjoyed the most overall out of everything here.
Yeah, I could feel that. I was gonna say the same thing, but I was torn between King's Quest V, that NES track, just because I love that groove.
Yeah.
And this track, but I'm actually gonna go with The Lost Mind of Dr. Brain because of nostalgia. It really put a smile on my face to hear that song again and to kind of like remember hanging out with my little brother, like playing this game and really just kind of diving deep into my nostalgia. So
that's fair. I think we've had a lot of nostalgia picks in previous episodes, and that's totally fair.
For sure.
So we'd like to take a moment to thank our Patreon patrons. without whom this show's continued improvement would be impossible. They are Alex Messenger, Scott McElhone, Cam Worma, Chris Hart, Dan Lawton, Chris Murray, Kung Fu Carlito of the Heroes 3 podcast, Jordan and Anson Davis, Chris Myers, Llama Adam, Jeremy Rutz, Peter Panda, Bedroth, Nick Davis, Brad Austin, Mixmaster, and the Autistic Gamer 89. If you would like to become a patron, you can sign up at patreon.com/XVGM Radio. There you can see the different tiers as well. Just $1 gets you a thank you and access to our monthly live shows.
You can visit our website, xvgmradio.com, where you can listen to all the episodes and learn more about your hosts, as well as any of our guests or composers that we've had on the show.
If you'd like to reach out to us, you can always email us at xvgmradio@gmail.com.
And if you'd like what you've heard, please consider giving us a rating on iTunes and a review.
You can also join our Facebook group and chat with other VGM lovers at www.facebook.com/groups/XVGM Radio, where we talk about everything from current game news to sharing awesome VGM tracks, or just talking about the podcast itself.
And you can find us on Twitter and Instagram. Our handle for both of those sites is @XVGM Radio.
If you don't have any other social media or just want to try something unique, check us out on our Discord group chat. Links will be in the show notes.
In 2 weeks, what do we have coming up on XVGM Radio?
So we're going to do something that I don't think we've done in a while. We're going to do a console spotlight.
Yeah.
We're going to be...
Kind of like a double.
Yeah,
console
double.
spotlight,
So we're going to be focusing on the FM Towns / the FM Towns Marty.
Right.
There's a lot of interesting stuff there, and there's a lot of crossover between the two. Mm-hmm. So we'll hear some really fun little ditties from this not very well-known console computer.
No, and it did not sell very well in Japan either, so it's pricey and very hard to find in like tons of information on, but we'll do our best to dive deep to get you some awesome tracks and showcase some rad tunes and talk a little bit about the consoles. So this is Mike
And Justin.
signing off for XVGM Radio.
Bye.
Where you had to like manipulate, like get the train from one point to another.
You had to stop the train before it hits the town.
I think so, yeah,
Like,
or something
hey,
like
kids,
that.
Stop that train, and the really intense like.
No, that's fun. That's your
Okay.
that's your Final Fantasy thing that you sing all the time. No,
It doesn't matter if the train hits the village.
No, it doesn't. No, it is something where you have to.
Like, imagine tuning it at that part. Yeah, it doesn't matter if the train hits the village.
Yeah, no. I'm not a fan of the fact that the name of the girl is the exact same name and spelling of my wife's name.
Yo, I hate to tell you this, but your wife has done a little undercover work.
Listen,
it's back in the 90s.
she's very passionate
So
back
it doesn't
then.
count.
She was like 5, but it's cool. Did you see the box art?
Yes.
It almost kind of looks like my wife too. That's super weird.
I didn't notice it until you pointed it out, but yeah.
It kind of looks like her a little bit. That's so funny. And she would totally work for the FBI.
Yeah.
Like, you guys know my wife. She would totally work for the FBI.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
That'd be like
as a
dream
lawyer,
job.
right?
Yeah, as a lawyer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
A lot of legalese.
Yeah.
the SWAT games, which are actually pretty good.
Right, Police Quest Squat. Squat. Yeah, Squat.
Yeah.
Police Quest Squat. Police Quest SWAT.
SWAT.
Whew, wow.
Police Quest XCOM SWAT. Hard Corpse.
Hard Corpse.
Hard Corpse SWAT.
Contra Police Force.
Contra Police Corps.
Police Force Corpse.
Police Force Corps. There you go.
Contra Police Corps.
Yeah.